On this episode of This is Game Boy, you get 10 games for the price of 1.
Hello everybody, I'm eBloodyCandy, and with me we have Moelle.
Hello.
And today we're going to be discussing the Tiny 10, the Portable Marathon, whichever you prefer to call it. And this is the 8th edition of it. Kind of crazy, you've done 8 of these already, Mo.
Yeah, it's been going on for like 4 years now, which is also already crazy to think of. Because I've been streaming for like 5 years or something like that, so I did start it pretty early in my streaming cycle, I guess. So yeah, that's very, very weird. And also very weird to see that we're basically 80 different games in. And there's plenty more to come in the future.
There are a lot more games to go through. But before we dive into the history, what have you been up to?
Like I mentioned in my light, which is actually gonna come out after this, so nobody has heard it yet. I've been doing Spooptober on my stream, which is something I do yearly, where I play through some spoopy games or horror-related games. And this year I started with Saw. Already finished that in like 3 days because it's a pretty short game. It's like 6 hours or something like that. And I've completed it offline. There were a few trophies I needed to grab real quick, which took me like an hour or two to get through them. One just took me 45 minutes because the game is... it's not programmed very well, so what I had to do didn't always work, and also the trophy guide was completely wrong in explaining how to get it, so it took me some time to figure that out. But yeah, if anybody likes like completing games, getting all the trophies, Saw is definitely a good one. I do have Saw 2 coming up next, which is going to be a little bit harder because there's a lot of collectibles in that game you have to collect, but I'll make sure I have a list while I'm playing through it. I also did Fate, which is a freeware... Well, it's not really freeware, it's actually... you can pay the developer if you want to, but you can also download it for free. But I think... And I'm really bad at this generation of consoles, but I think it's like an Atari game, basically, on your PC. So it only has directional buttons and one other button. And it's a scary story about a priest trying to save a girl who has been possessed by a demon. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. You'll have to find out yourself. But yeah, those are the streaming games I've been doing. Besides that, I have been playing a lot of Binding of Isaac. Just trying to complete that game as far as it has been developed on the consoles. On Steam, there's already Booster Pack 4 and Booster Pack 5, but we haven't gotten those yet. They will come next month or within 2 months. And Edmund McMillan also announced that there's going to be a new official DLC, I guess, to it, which is one of the mods that already came out on Steam, which is called Revelations. But like when they made Afterbirth, they already said we open it up for modders to just do whatever they want with it. And if it's really good, we'll pick it up. So it's really cool that they make it official. And Revelation has been very well received by all the fans. And actually, Revelations Part 2 is coming out on Steam. And like Macmillan said, Revelations is going to be absolutely the last DLC they're gonna do, but I doubt it. I think they're gonna do Revelations Part 2 as well. What else? I've been playing a lot of Mega Man. Of course, the new Mega Man 11 just came out. Amazing game. You can always check out my VODs on that or something if you want to see my complete opinion about it. And besides that, I also got Mega Man X Legacy Collection, so I've been playing through all of the Mega Man X games. I think that's pretty much it, what I've been doing. What have you been playing?
Man, you've been busy.
Yeah, definitely.
I played through Spider-Man for the PS4.
All right, yeah, I did that as well.
Yeah,
I already forgot.
that was a good game. It wasn't a bad game. It definitely had its flaws, but it wasn't an awful game. I've played worse.
Yeah. It's a Batman game, but with Spider-Man. I think we said that last time as well.
Yeah, it's basically Arkham, but skin of Spider-Man. Mega Man 11, I played and beat through that. And I've done speedruns of Mega Man 11 already. So, been doing that. That speedrun just murders my hands, though. I think it's the Switch controller. Like, they're just not meant for speedrunning.
Maybe, yeah.
Like my controller just cramped my hands so bad.
Oh, are you just using the Joy-Con dock?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I can understand that.
I'm not gonna spend $60 on a Pro controller. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I have that. I bought it immediately.
For a console I rarely play.
Oh yeah, I play it constantly. Yeah, when I first got my Switch, I bought it with Breath of the Wild. My opinions about that I'm not gonna say here, but I was playing it one day with the dock controller, I guess, and I immediately went to the store the day afterwards to get me a Pro controller. The Joy-Cons are way too tiny for me to actually enjoy like these big games.
Yeah, every Switch game I've played on the Joy-Con dock, and I've regretted it afterwards. But what else have I been up to? Oh, I did Game Boy Adventure yesterday. Did Kid Dracula after like a two or 3 month hiatus from that. That was a cool game. I like that game a lot. Figured try and do something horror related for October. So outside of that, not much. Just random projects, like personal projects and just like gaming projects. Like last night, I built a couch, things like that. And then going forward, Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out, and I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. So obviously, I'll be playing through that. Also, if you're looking for a quick game to platinum, Spider-Man for the PS4 is a very quick game to platinum. I think it took me like 18 hours to platinum.
Oh wow! Yeah, I think I played it a little bit longer than that, but yeah, it is an easy one, so it's not really that difficult.
Little tedious with the crimes, but for the most part, it's a pretty quick platinum.
Definitely, the crimes do tend to drag on in the end because you have to do so many. And
yeah, it's like 20 per district. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's way too much. Like, I tried to do them while doing the storyline. Every time one showed up, I went there just to... I knew this was gonna happen, that in the end I had to do nothing but that stuff. But it all turned out into 2 more hours of doing just crimes just to get the platinum in the end. So, yeah, that was...
Yeah, that's how mine was. Like, I cleared the story. I cleared, like, all of, like, the permanent things there, like the challenges and whatnot you can do, and then it was just me like sitting on top of a building and waiting for a crime to come, and it's like, oh God.
yeah I really know that feeling. But besides that, it's an amazing game. Like,
it's a good game. The story's alright. I'm like a little excited to see the DLCs come out with Black Cat and whatnot. So
yeah, I'm actually, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but there is a little after the credits scene, just like a Marvel movies, of course, with a hint towards the next game whenever that's gonna come out, and I'm kind of excited about that. And on the other hand, maybe not so excited because I'm not sure what they're gonna do with other villains beside that one they hinted towards, but I'm kind of tired of seeing the same old Spider-Man villains again and again and again through each iteration of the movies and the games. And there's a lot, because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I've read all the comics from the start till 2012, I think. So I'm a few years behind, but yeah, there's so many great iconic villains in there that have never ever been featured in any Spider-Man game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it was fun because like I'm a big fan of Spider-Man as well, and like reading through the comics, like the last one I just read was the Superior Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm a little behind as well. But, like, seeing that and then also knowing about Ultimate Spider-Man was kind of cool to see. So, we'll see how all that stuff plays out in the game.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just go play the game. You'll find out real quick. So yeah, I mean that's basically what I've been up to. Really nothing too crazy. Oh, I saw Venom as well. Speaking of Spider-Man related things, I went and saw Venom Thursday night. It was alright.
Right. I never go to the movies, so I always watch those kinds of things whenever they come out on Blu-ray or DVD. So it's gonna be a while for me to actually see Venom.
Yeah, a few months, not too bad.
Yeah, I can wait.
Yeah, it's worth waiting for.
I think all movies are worth waiting for to come out and something else. I really do not enjoy going to the movies at all.
That's fair. I like seeing them. It depends on the movie. Some movies I like to see on a big screen with with a nice surround sound. Other movies I just don't care about at all.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with the history of the Tiny 10, and starting with the first half of the list. Stay tuned. Alright, well, welcome back, everybody. Let's just dive into the history of the Tiny 10. So, for me, I didn't get started with the Tiny 10 until number 2. So, and this is Mo's brainchild. Like, everything related to the Tiny 10 is all on Mo. So, I do know some of it where, like, it kind of began around the same time as the Big 20s. But, how did you think of, at the time, the Portable Marathon?
Yeah, it was literally when they were setting up the Big 20, the first one, which is also 4 years old. So it's really weird how time flies by when you're doing stuff like this. But yeah, I was just playing random Game Boy games on my stream by then. I wasn't even doing my system challenge yet or anything. I was just playing through some Game Boy games because I grew up with them and I wanted to replay some of them. Before that, I was mainly a Mega Man streamer, I guess, because yeah, I love Mega Man. So those were the games I always tried to play. Tried diving into speed running some of them, but it really wasn't for me. I got mad at the games I loved, so I just stopped doing that because like Mega Man 3 is my favorite game of all time, probably. And trying to speedrun that game got me so mad at that game that I didn't touch it for like 2 years or something like that. So yeah, I decided to just play some Game Boy games, and a lot of the Mega Man streamers, I guess, were in my channel and stuff like that while I was doing those Game Boy games. And we were just talking about the Big 20 and how it's sad that like NES and Super Nintendo always get all of the fame, I guess. And Game Boy was certainly at that time almost nobody was playing Game Boy games actually. So jokingly, ClickSpark, it was said like, yeah, why don't you do your own marathon with Game Boy games? And we joked about that for like a week or two, and then I actually started making a list. So yeah, we decided to actually go through with it. And if you look at the list of like the first Tiny 10, I'll just pull it up right here. Those are some pretty well-known games that everybody knows, because even for me, I wasn't that far into the Game Boy library yet, so I didn't know that much about them. But yeah, I'll go over them real quick. So we had Kirby's Dream Land to start with, obvious choice, because that's the most easy game to speedrun on Game Boy, I guess.
What a game.
Or to get into it, at least. We had Bubble Ghost. A lot of people were playing that at that time. We got Solar Striker, which I really choose myself because I love that game.
It's a tough game.
Yeah, it's not, but yeah, whatever. A lot of people had struggles with that during the Tiny 10 for sure. Then we got Operation C, well, Contra, of course. I mean, typical game to choose. Plus, you had the 10 extra life code, so it was easy to get into. We got Super Mario Land, also obvious choice. Metroid 2, again, obvious choice, but like only part of it, of course. Mega Man 2 because that was the most accessible Mega Man game on Game Boy at that point in time, at least. Got Ninja Gaiden Shadow because, well, everybody was playing Ninja Gaiden on NES, so why not portray the Game Boy one? Then we had Kid Dracula, with what the most offshoot, but a lot of people who were in my channel were actually speedrunning it at that time, so I put it in there. We finished with Zelda Link's Awakening, so you can hear that that list was really comprised of all the popular Game Boy games, just to have a quick list. And yeah, it just took off from there. But I called it the Portable Marathon back then. At least for the first 4 editions, I think I actually just called it Portable Marathon. But Mr. Cap, who is an avid Mega Man Game Boy speedrunner and normal Mega Man speedrunner, if you've heard about him, he just started calling it Tiny 10 as a joke. And a lot of people just picked up on that because it was just a parody of the Big 20. And, well, in the end, I just gave up calling it Portable Marathon, and now we're just calling it Tiny 10 because it's more well known as that for sure.
Yeah, I remember making the logo for, I want to say it was like Tiny 10 3 or 4, I can't remember. And I made the seal, like the circle seal with the Game Boy in the center. I put Portable Marathon on the top and like Tiny 10 on the bottom. Just like, I didn't know what to call. The only reason that is I didn't know what to call it because Mo and like 3 other people were calling it Portable Marathon. And like myself and like 5 other people were calling it Tiny 10. So I was like, I'm just going to put both names on there and you guys can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, doesn't really matter. So Tiny 10 is just a lot more funny, I guess. Just because when people know it comes from the Big 20, it kind of stems from that. Like, it was based upon it, kind of, I guess. Like, it's not like we stole the idea or anything like that. It's just, well, the Big 20 by then was like the only big speedrunning marathon that was going on. So I think we were the second ones who started doing that, and now you just have a bunch of them for everything. So
every console has one now.
Yeah, so it's fun to make up something like that, even if it's based on a bigger project that's going on. But yeah, it's cool to see that. Well, 4 years later, we're still doing it. It's definitely not as big as the Big 20 or even any of the other races that started after we started doing Tiny 10. But yeah, it's fun to keep doing it.
I mean, you have the Big 20, obviously. You know, everyone looks at the NES and that's what they're drawn to. And then was it like a year or two ago, SNES finally opened one up. So obviously that one was going to get a lot of attention regardless too, just because of the actual console itself. But I would say like we probably draw a similar crowd to that of like the Atari now, because I think the Atari has one through RGL. The Sega Master System, Mega Drive, whatever.
The Master 15, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
is it the Master 15? I don't know. Like
I don't know.
I know B-Trim makes the one with the Master System, and then there's also the Mega Drive one.
Yeah, I have no idea how Sega works because I don't do anything related to Sega.
Yeah, me neither.
So I would say like we draw a very similar crowd to that, like in terms of size. But yeah, no, like it's weird. Well, it's not weird, but it's just tough, like trying to compare yourself to the NES and Super NES because I feel like people probably either A, have more nostalgia for those consoles, B, they see, you know, more and bigger streamers playing on said consoles. They really don't see, you know, bigger streamers playing on Game Boy or thing like that at all. So, and then the bigger streamers that do play Game Boy are typically like Pokemon and stuff like that. So, Zelda.
For sure. Yeah, and it's always, like doing these, we always have like a different amount of actual runners. Like the first one only had 5 runners. 2 of them forfeited actually. Because literally nobody practiced for it. They just wanted to play it. Nobody practiced for any of the games. I think somebody looked it up recently what the actual number 1 place was, and it was like 5 hours or something like that, or over 5 hours. And the ones that forfeited were over like 8 hours already. The second edition was not so good. Actually, commentators had to step in, or was that the third one? I don't remember.
That was number 3.
Okay, that was okay. 2 had a lot of runners. Well, with a lot, that's like 8 people or something.
Yeah, I think we had like
that.
8 or 9 people in 2.
Yeah, so we were kind of excited for the next one, and then literally nobody showed up on the day of the third one. So commentators had to step in just to have runners.
I remember.
It was yeah.
I remember that because Tiny 10 2 was my first Tiny 10, and that was like right when I got into speedrunning as well too. So if Duck is listening, that's when I beat Duck in Tiny 10, and then ever since then he's won like 3 or 4. So, but number 3 came around, and it was like I had to go on a business trip when number 3 was happening, so I couldn't participate. But I supplied all the art and everything. I told Mo, like, hey, like I want to help with this. Like, let me know what you need. And so I gave Mo a bunch of art for it, and then I came back and I realized that like. John Carls and Bangaro were also running. I'm like, weren't they your commentators? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, definitely. yeah. We had 3 people who were commentating over the race, but 2 of them were actually racing because there were only 2 other participants that year. Incredible.
Man. So good.
Still no idea how that happened.
It's not a bad list. You know, like Tiny 10-3 was Kung Fu Master, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan, Kirby Star Stacker, Felix the Cat, Wario Blast, Teku Fight, Tailgater, Nobo, which you should go watch the previous episode on, Hammer and Harry, and DuckTales. Like, that's a pretty good list.
It really is. Those are all easy games even to get into, so...
Because like Tiny 10 2 like was a like some of those games in that second Tiny 10 were tough. And when I mean tough, I mean like they were easy, but if you messed up once, you were kind of screwed. Like Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong 94, 92, 90 something, the arcade
94,
version, yeah. Like that wasn't bad, but then you got into like Contra, and if you're not a Contra player. Like, Contra Game Boy Easy Mode is only 3 levels, but, like, if you just don't know how Contra works, like, it can be a little rough to start. Amazing Penguin, great game, but, like, the controls are a little Kid Nicky, like, that is just... Yeah. That game,
if you don't know
is
what
hard.
You're doing there.
Kirby's Block Ball, like, that game is just slow. Darkwing Duck, that game is phenomenal, but can be very hard as well. Tracks, super easy. Trip World... in my opinion, super easy. Trap, great until you hit about stage 20, and then from stage 20 and on, it's just a nightmare. Looney Tunes, Elmer Fudd is a complete nightmare in Looney Tunes. Like, the heck with that game. So
yeah, I'm playing as Speedy Gonzalez in that game is also...
God. Yeah.
One jump and you're suddenly across the screen somewhere.
Yeah.
It's tough.
But I don't know, like... Those are the first 3 Tiny 10s, you know, and so, you know, and we usually, Mo usually puts these out, usually a month or 2 after the Big 20 has been done, right? Like the actual race itself.
It's usually like, back then I announced the list like a week after Big 20 was done, but it's getting harder to like actually figure out dates to like... keep following up on each other because when Beatrim was doing his master one, I always talked to him like, hey, when are you gonna do it, so I can like kind of find a date to set it so we can actually do it. But it gets way too tough with all these marathons going on all the time, so eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do one in November and one around April or May, and screw everything else. Like, you just cannot keep track of everything anymore. So, yeah. But nowadays, the list always definitely comes out at least 1 month before the actual date. So you do have time to practice, but usually it's even 2 months before the date. So definitely enough time for people to learn the games.
Yeah, 100%. Like this Tiny 10 8. Mo and I did the reveal a week or two ago now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, you guys have until November 10th, to practice this. Like, you have still almost a full month to go through and do this. So, and the games in the Tiny 10 are super fun. We'll get to them in a minute, but I mean they're very fun games. Like, I would say, out of all the marathons that I have personally done, because I have been in 2 Big 20s, and I've ran in 2 Tiny 10s, but I kind of been involved thanks to Mo for the last 6 of them.
Yeah.
So, and I would say, like, the Tiny 10s, like, they're the perfect amount. Like, they're not too short, they're not too long, because, like, some of those Big 20 games can get really drawn out. Like, this is perfect. Like, it sticks around, like, the 2.5 to 3 hour mark for all 10 games. Most of them are pretty easy blind or pretty casual blind. Like, it's not bad at all just to get into this.
Yeah, it's usually like, maybe not at the start, because then we just picked like more popular games, but definitely since Tiny 10 4 at least, all the lists, if you just look at the world records for all of them, even if they're just like segments of games, whenever you look at the actual times and you add them up together, if you would be able to get world record on all of them, it would always be like around 1 hour 45 minutes in total. With the least amount of practice, the entire list is always very much doable within 3 hours, and with a little bit of practice you usually end up around like 2 hours 15 minutes or 2 hours 30 minutes, so it doesn't take up your whole day. For Europe, we always start at like 7, so let's just say you actually did practice, you might be done by 9 then. So you still have the evening to go out and stuff like that. And for the US, we start at 1 p.m. So you might be done by 3, so you have the rest of the afternoon free to just go do something else. That is, unless you're Infinite Mystery. Then you're like stuck for the next 24 hours.
I love Infinite Mystery. But I mean, like, Tiny 10 5, like, I only practiced Gargoyle's Quest in Tiny 10 5, and I went through 9 of the 10 games blind. And I think I was done in just about, like, 3.5 hours.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely doable always, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess you want to talk to me more about the history of the Tiny 10?
I think that's pretty much it. Like, I can talk a little bit about maybe the future of Tiny 10. For this one, when I was setting up the list, I made sure to, like, we have a research document, which we have on, like, the Game Boy Discord, and all people can see it, and they can see which games are on there, and I ask people, like, can you maybe look into this game, see if this is, if there's no speedrun of it, like, is this something that maybe could be cool to put up there in the future, or ones that already have a record, like, is it doable for not only blind players but also for like the casual player to even get through this. So I have a complete list with like a lot of games on there. Usually I only really look for 10 and then stop, but when I was doing this one for 8, I just made a new list with like a lot of games on there that still have to be researched, but a lot of them have already been researched, and I already got 9 picks for the next one, basically. So that one is almost done already, and there's like still 15 games on there that have to be checked out. So I'm making work of it that in the future everything is already set up, so I don't have to work too much on it anymore.
Yeah, I know. I DM you a lot of games that have a lot of potential to them, like Brain Drain and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's usually the hardest one. Get a good puzzle game in there, because you always have to segment it, and is it a good segment or not? Those are the hardest ones to find, because platformers we have like
They're a
700
dime a
of them
dozen.
left to get through, so
Yeah.
that never will be a problem at all. But it's just finding like something different to put in there. That's usually the hard part of it.
Yeah, platformers are really a dime a dozen especially when it comes to Game Boy. But like I feel like with Game Boy Adventure, I've done a lot of puzzles already, so it's just like I can kind of go through and like look up my documents of that and be like, this one would be okay, but you'd have to stop here type deal, or like this one's fine if you play it on hard or fast or whatever it is. I'm still waiting for Quirk to get in, so.
Yeah. Yeah, the Quirk is one of those games that is like weird because once you know where to go, it's super easy, but other people might get stuck on it for 4 hours or longer. So
yeah,
it's a hard decision to make. But
it's like
yes,
it's like Alien 3 as well. Like look at Alien 3 for example. Like I don't know if you've played Alien 3 at all yet for your challenge.
I tried, but I got stuck and I gave up after 2 hours.
Exactly. Like the game blind took me, I think, 5.5 hours blind. I think it took John like 6 or 9 hours blind. But like once I knew where to go and what to do, I was able to beat the game in like 25 minutes. And now like the speedrun is down to like 15 or 16 minutes now. So I mean, like it's not a hard game. It's one of those where the hell do I go games. So, I mean, from there, like, if you had that in the Tiny 10, like, casually and blind, it's not very friendly at all, but as a speedrunner, it's a paradise because it's actually a really easy speedrun. So, still waiting for that to get in as well.
Yeah, that's like a big problem with making the list. It kind of has to be blind friendly. And I'm gonna have to stick to that way of thinking about the list because when we did Tiny 10.6, we actually, on purpose, took 10 games that not all 10 of them, but most of them you really, really had to learn a speedrun for them to get through them pretty easily and fast enough. So that was a test. I did not know what was gonna happen, but yeah, the results came in and a lot of people just did not want to participate because the games were too hard, even when they were trying to do the speed runs. So I just stepped away from that kind of thing completely, just to make it a lot more accessible for everybody, because that's basically what the Tiny 10 is for, is just to show people a lot of games, maybe get them interested in speedrunning some of them, but it's just to show like obscure games that nobody ever thinks of on Game Boy and stuff like that. So it should always be accessible for everybody, just to, even on racing day itself, just to be like, oh wait, this is going on today, why shouldn't I just play these games? Maybe I'll have a great time. And that's what I usually hear from people who have been practicing and people who just have stepped in at the very last moment. Oh, this is cool because I never see these games otherwise, and now I have a chance to actually play through them. So
I remember when Tiny 6 got released, it was something you've always wanted to do, is to have a list pretty much of all full games. And as soon as I saw Double Dragon on there, I was like, yep, I'll commentate this one. Because Double Dragon Game Boy is not an easy game.
No, definitely not. And Double Dragon was one of the games I wanted to put in the original first one as well. So,
and then you had DWR or Mega Man 1 for Game Boy. Sorry, that's not an easy game either. So then you had Super Mario Land 2. That garbage game.
That was probably the easiest game on the list, but
Marble Madness was the easiest.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was just a joke that I put in there just to give everybody a breather.
Everyone a breather after Wario Land 2, huh?
Yeah, another very hard game. The game where you cannot die at all. But yeah, that was fun to put Wario Land 2 in though. Because, like, for people who don't know Wario Land 2, it has multiple endings. And if you do not know that, you just have to stay asleep in the first stage of that game to get the shortest route in that game, which is 5 stages. You have to play through 30 of them. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping a lot of people would not know that, but everybody knew. So.
Everyone that practiced knew. And
Yeah.
you here's the thing, like, you knew in that list, like, you knew who practiced and who didn't practice based off of Wario Land 2.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we only had like 5 runners, so yeah, those were the ones who actually practiced.
I think that was Legs' first Tiny 10 too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. She immediately did the hardest one there ever was.
Oh man, but so yeah, that's awesome to hear that you've already have 90% of the list thought out for next Tiny 10. That's great.
Yeah, well, it's not 90% of the list because it's just 9 games that are already approved for sure.
Oh,
but 3 of them are Mega Man 3, 4, and 5. So that's only gonna be one, of course.
Mega Man 3. Good luck on that one.
Well, each of them is only gonna be first for Robot Masters, regardless, and probably the robot killer that comes with it at that stage. So.
Mega Man 3. Good luck on that one.
Yeah, good luck whatever that one gets picked. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh man,
the worst stages come after the first 4 Robot Masters. So
yeah, that's true. You don't have to worry about dust and skull and all that. So
yeah.
especially
Everybody will
dust.
be fine.
Yeah, the first 4's not bad. So yeah, I mean, that's the history of the Tiny 10. Let's just dive into this list, shall we?
Yeah, we're not gonna be talking like in very much detail about any of the games. It's just like a little reminder to people what the list is. We did do an actual reveal, so we have a VOD up for that. We'll definitely link it in the description below so you can watch that and see the games in action. But we just want to get through the list real quick, so to give everybody a reminder and to talk a little bit about each game. So that's what we're gonna do.
So the first game on the list we have is Donkey Kong Land. The goal is beat World 1. This is a pretty generous goal. I guess pretty easy goal.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this in the reveal as well, but like Beat World 1 gives you a little bit variety in each level. Like it's a nice level. It's like a pirate ship level. It's like a jungle level. It has a little bit of everything, and it has a boss fight, of course. I first wanted to do Beat World 2 because it's not a long goal even then, but then you have to do like 4 or 5 water levels, and those are not very well loved by a lot of people. And depending on how you are playing Donkey Kong Land, those are so very hard to see where you're actually going. So Beat World 1 is definitely good enough. The entire game is way too long, of course. Can't do that, but definitely wanted to show Donkey Kong Land after all these additions because people have been requesting one of them since the start, basically.
Yeah, I have 2 big complaints about Donkey Kong Land 1. But the one complaint I have goes for literally all 3. Is just the graphics. Like, they try to pull like the SNES style graphics or like the 3D donkeys and like the parallax background and everything else, which is fine. It runs for the most part fairly smooth on the Game Boy, but when you're playing it on a green template or whatever else, like even just on the Super Game Boy 2, like it's actually really hard to see what's happening. And then when you get underwater, like the water usually puts like a little bit of a mask over things too to like give you the sense of immersion, and it makes it even harder to see what's going on. So that game took me a bit to play. When I played it blind, it took me a bit to like see what was happening, see stuff in the background, see enemies and whatnot. My other complaint is just the controls for 1 were just, in my opinion, way too slippery. But I mean, like Mo was saying, World 1 is awesome. Like you start off with a jungle, and then like the next stage you're on ice. Like you went from the jungle to a glacier, in a few seconds. Then you have a pirate ship. Like there's a lot of variety. There's going to be a lot of control variety, a lot of background variety. Donkey Kong's going to be a pretty fun game to watch, honestly.
Yeah, people always like the Donkey Kong games, so why not at least put 1 in there? We'll see in the future to put in Donkey Kong Land 2 and 3, of course. But the thing is, Donkey Kong Land 3 only has been speedrun on the Game Boy Color version. I don't know if there's any difference or not. I know it only came out in Japan, so maybe there are some differences.
I have no
But yeah,
idea.
we'll see. The other ones are definitely gonna be in a Tiny 10 in the future for sure as well.
Yeah. Then the next game I got is Brain Drain. Goal, rookie difficulty, beat stage 30. This is a game I never played before until the reveal day, and this game is actually a lot of fun. Like it's simple, but it's very addicting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who enjoy like fast-paced puzzle games would absolutely love to play Brain Drain just casually. For having a speedrun goal, rookie beat stage 30 is pretty okay, because the difficulty is not too hard until after stage 30. There are ways to stop the timer and to skip some stages if you've been able to unlock those power-ups, so you can skip at least a few stages. The game does have like a life system, but it also has a password system, which I always find odd when they do that, because you really game over, but then you can still start from the same stage. So what's actually the point of having lives to begin with? But yeah, it's pretty easy to get to stage 30. And what's really fun about this, it's completely random. So most puzzles look alike, but like their setup is different, or the icons get scrambled in a different way each time. Even if you lose a life, the next time you have to restart a puzzle, the scrambling is completely random, so you have to be on your toes and think fast to get through each stage as fast as possible, for sure.
Yeah, I basically the gameplay is there's a set pattern that it initially shows you, and then it kind of just like it scrambles up the pattern. And then in the top left corner of your screen, it shows you the pattern, what it needs to look like, and you take this cursor and you kind of move four things at once. So you basically, it's like a slider puzzle in a way, where you take all these and you kind of make what the scrambled puzzle is into what the top left corner is telling you to make it into. You're timed in each stage. There are power-ups. I didn't get to really use or experience power-ups at all when I was revealing it or helping reveal it. So, but it's a very simple game.
For sure, definitely on rookie level. I chose rookie because those are really just, it gets scrambled, try to unscramble it again. If you go to the other difficulties, you actually get stage hazards, like some of the icons get blinded out, so you can't see what's behind those blocks, and it gets a lot tougher. So rookie is perfect as a little puzzle game in between like other harder games in the Tiny 10 list, because we always put like a puzzle game in there.
Yeah, some sort of break. Next game on the list we have is Shin-Chan 2. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the whole title. It's Shin-Chan 2.
It's Shin-Chan 2. Yeah.
I guess we've never talked about Shin-Chan at all yet on This Is Game Boy. So, it's the games themselves are the plot of the games are very different than the actual anime itself, if you've ever watched the anime. Basically, Shin-Chan 2 is a hold right and jump over pits type platformer. Sometimes you have to climb up a pole. There's really nothing to it. There's only one boss. Like, I think there's like 5 or 6 stages, and there's only one boss, and it's at the very end of the game. The catch is with Shin-Chan. I know Shin-Chan 1, if you die, or if you lose all your lives in game over, you start from the beginning of the game. I want to say there might be 1 or 2 continues in Shin-Chan 2. I don't remember off the top of my head, because it's almost impossible to game over in Shin-Chan games. So, it's an extremely easy game. You can dodge and take out just about anything. Along the way, like halfway points throughout each stage, you're going to run into like a mini game. The first one you do is sumo wrestling with Georgie. The speed run is you just hold left or right and just smash A and fall over and be done with it, but you can try and sumo wrestle him. There's a soccer mini game. The worst one is rock, paper, scissors. That one's completely random. whether or not you're going to either lose right away for the quickest route, or you're going to win 3 times, or you're going to be stuck on the same person for 6 times. It's kind of random and up in the air. And then the final boss is your principal, who is hiding behind pillars because he doesn't have any clothes on, and you have an action bastard suit, so you're trying to stun lock the principal on the edge of the screen by shooting him with the beams, but that is a lot easier said than done. Typically, you'll run out of action bastard suit, and you'll have to try and jump Shin's slow jump animation to jump on top of the principal's head. So, always a good time.
Yeah, most of these Shin-chan games are definitely made for children, even though the source material is not always for children per se. It always looked like a really kids cartoon, but it's really not, and the games really portray that well, because it has the same kind of humor that all the episodes have, but the gameplay is really simple and easy for everybody to get into. So it's always fun to just put a Shin-chan game on the list, because they're just fun speedruns to do. So and they're always really short as well and easy to learn. So
yeah, ever since you put number 4 in Tiny 10 5, I think it was 4 or 5. Everyone was just like, when's the next game for Shin-chan? I'm like, well, ask Mo. He makes the lists.
Yeah, we have 3 more after this that we can put in, basically.
Yeah.
But probably only the first one, maybe, because the other 2 are really just random puzzle. Well,
they're not random.
Yeah, I know, but we'll see. Maybe we'll put them in, maybe not. It might be cool to put those other 2 as like little break games. I'm talking about Shin-chan 3 and 5 then, in that regard. But Shin-chan 1 is probably going to be in the next one for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the next game we have is Max. It's not like we've ever talked about that game before.
Yeah, we can basically just skip talking about that game altogether. If you want to have a 2-hour podcast, I don't know how long it was, about Max Rebel Saber 2. We did an episode on that. Just go check that one out. Then you can come back to this one.
It's just a basic platformer that you can shoot. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, but we do talk 2 hours about it. So.
Yeah.
There's
a lot to it.
We're good at that. Just talking about stuff that is not really tied to the game at all. But yeah, just go check out that episode.
It's a good episode. I think it was our 2nd or 3rd one. Let's see. The next game we got is Wave Race. Oh, by the way, the goal for Max is beat the game. And for Shin-chan 2 is beat the game. But the next game we have is Wave Race. Goal 550cc, which is the slowest CC that you can start with. And you have to get first place. So
right.
I've never played. The first time I played this was during the reveal as well. You have to get 15 points in your, what do they call it, a Grand Prix or whatever. I don't know racing terms very well. You have to get 15 points in your Grand Prix in order to win first place or win the Gold Cup. How many races are in the Grand Prix?
There's 4 levels, and first place gets you 5 points, second place gets you 3 points, and third place gets you 1 point, I believe. So, and if you come in fourth, you just lose, basically.
Yeah, this game is kind of interesting. Like, you press B to accelerate, which I screwed up right away. I was holding A. And then you press A to boost, but you have like a limited number of boosts throughout the entire race. And along the way, you can collect power-ups that'll either give you like a shield or whatever. There is collision, and if you follow the actual like path, like you can maintain a speed or keep a faster speed. If you fall off the path, you go slower. Think of like Mario Kart type deal. The controls are actually extremely good for this game, though. I will say that. Like the bit I played of it at the reveal, like the controls were very, very good.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, most people know Wave Race from the 64 game, because that was, well, one of the release games, I guess, was quite popular. But yeah, Wave Race actually started on Game Boy. This was the first game of the quote-unquote series, and it's probably one of the best racing games there is on Game Boy. It's really easy on 550cc, but it gets really, really tough on the higher difficulties for sure.
Yeah, I compared it to RC Pro-Am for the NES. Like it felt a lot like that, with I would say a little bit better controls. Like, but it felt very much like that.
Yeah, it's a top-down racing game, so you always have the top view. And unlike Micro Machines on Game Boy, you have a map so you can actually see where the hell you're supposed to go.
Micro Machines is the worst.
It is absolutely the worst. Like, I love Micro Machines, but not on Game Boy.
No.
It's so bad on Game Boy. And people are always trying to say that I'm wrong and that it's an easy game to beat. I can't get past the fourth stage of that game, and there's like 24 races in there, and there's no continues, and it just drives me mad.
Oh man! All right, so when we come back, we're gonna hit up the other 5 games in our Tiny 10 list. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back everybody. We're going to finish up the last 5 games here of Tiny 10 number 8. So I guess the next game we have here is Moelle's Mission. Goal: play the US or European version, beat the game.
Yeah, highly, highly requested game.
Yeah, I don't know why. I honestly have no idea why this game was so requested. It's not a good game.
Nope, and it's a long game.
It's like a 25-minute game, and it's just not fun. It's just 25 minutes of not fun.
And yet people still wanted it in, so I just did it so I can get rid of it forever now.
Oh, so if you know much of anything about the Famicom and Japanese video game history, Moelle is actually a pretty prominent character in Japanese video games. It has its own series. However, America and maybe possibly Europe would only see a few of these games come to light. Moelle's Mission is basically you hold right and you don't stop shooting. And you're going to get a power-up in the shape of a scroll that can either shoot comets from off-screen, that has like these homing balls that could just skip you to the end of the stage, that can... what else? You have like an exploding bomb. You have one that's a whip, basically, and when you use it, Moelle stops moving. And just you have to wait like 5 seconds for this animation to stop before you can start moving again. Like like the power ups are just not good. The only one that's good is the one that takes you to the end of the stage. And your health system is I call them souls. So in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you have this soul icon with a bunch of numbers. However, in the American and European version, the porting from Japanese to American gets screwed up somehow, where your number sprites will sometimes turn into hearts, spades, smiley faces. Like, it is just an absolute atrocity. And the other side effect is that there's no iframes in this game. So, like, if you stand inside of an enemy, you will just straight up get chunked and killed. And once you die and game over, you start the entire game over again. So if you get to the final stage and die, you get to play that entire game again, because once is not enough, apparently. The big differences. So, like, I did this last year's Handheld Heroes 2017. I played Moelle's Mission, the American version and the Japanese version. Just to showcase the two differences. The Japanese version is honestly harder than the American version, which is usually the other way around. And in the American version, if you fall into a pit, you get a seizure warning, basically, but you can fall into a pit 3 times into the American version before you game over. In the American version, if you kill a boss, souls come out of that boss, and you can collect the souls to regain your hit points that you lost. In the Japanese version, however, once you have killed a boss, there's no souls to pick up. It just cuts to the cutscene to the next stage. So if you beat a boss with one hit point left, you go into the next stage with 1 hit point. If you fall into a pit in the Japanese version, it's an instant game over. All the sprites are 90% of the sprites are completely different on the Japanese version, and all of the bosses are different, and they all look different. So, yeah, so Mo chose the American version because it is the easier of the two.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you look at the leaderboard for Maru's mission, you will see a lot of us on there, because literally everybody has tried to play it.
Well, it was a hot speed game for a while.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, a lot of people were requesting this game to be in a tiny tent, and I refrained from doing it because it is so long and dying takes you back so far. But I'm actually really excited to see what's gonna happen during the race.
Yeah.
Just, it can screw people over so badly.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And there's one boss, there's one boss that has a trivia question instead of actually fighting them. So it's like, if you don't know the answer, you just start that stage over again. Like, there's no try again. Like, you just start it over. And if it is the Japanese version, like, you don't know what they're saying. So.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, but the riddle is the oldest riddle known to mankind, so probably everybody knows the answer to it.
Hopefully,
yeah.
If not, we get to play the level again. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see. But that is gonna be a real big turning point in the entire race. Brain Drain might already put some people ahead and some people behind.
Yeah.
But Maru's mission might turn everything upside down in a matter of 25 minutes. Basically.
Yeah. Well, we'll another game too, like, people need to be careful for is also Max. Like, I think we mentioned this in the thing, is like, if you game over a max, I think you gotta start all over again. So
yeah, for sure.
It's just one of those types of games. Moving on here, we have Rodland, beat the game Japanese version. I think the reason you chose the Japanese version is because we were having issues with the American version, right? Or the English version, sorry.
Yeah, for me, the English version actually just constantly hard locked, basically, after beating stage 10, when you move on to the boss stage, the first boss stage. So I couldn't do that, for starters. And then I played the Japanese version, and that one worked. And not only that, but also you start with 10 lives instead of 2 lives, which is a huge difference in this game. It's not a hard game at all. No. It's actually a very easy game, but just having 10 lives makes the game a lot more speedrunnable, manageable to get through easily, and faster, because the only way to get extra lives in this game is by collecting all of the flowers or other items in a stage, then killing all the enemies, who then turn into letters, and if you form extra, you get 1 extra life. So it's very tedious to actually get an extra life. So just starting with 10, which is more than enough for this entire game, which has 40 stages, is just a huge advantage. So the Japanese version definitely is the way to go here.
And there you see it firsthand. Japanese versions are usually easier than the American versions.
Yeah,
American European versions.
At least on Game Boy, a lot of the Japanese versions are a lot easier than the other versions, for sure.
Unless you're Maru's mission.
Yeah,
like the first time I played Rodland again was for the reveal. I've heard of the game, I've seen the game played, but I've just never played it. It's a pretty cute game, honestly. Like, there's 2 ways to finish a level. Like Mo was saying, you can collect all the flowers, or you can just kill all the enemies on the screen. I would assume, I've never watched a speedrun of this game, but I would assume the fastest way is just to kill all the enemies on the screen, since they all migrate towards you already. So
yeah. Indeed. It's just about finding the correct path to get to them the fastest while they're moving towards you.
Right.
But if you do not really want to speedrun it, but just get through it, just stay where you are, let them come to you, and kill whatever comes. Like, each stage takes like 50 to 20 seconds.
Like, once you've taken out an enemy, they turn into like a various object, either a bouncy ball or a rocket or something of the sort, and you kind of like kick it at one side of the screen, and anything in its path or anything that it hits, you'll take out. So it's a pretty cute game, honestly. Even if you don't want to speedrun it, just playing it casually seems like a pretty fun game to play.
Yeah, it would take like half an hour maybe. I think it took me 40 minutes because I game over twice on like stage 30, and there's no continue, so you constantly have to start from the beginning again. So this might also be one where a lot of people have to reset a lot of times if they run out of lives, but if they are somewhat careful, they should not have any problems, besides maybe the bosses that are a little bit harder.
Yeah. Are there passwords in the game?
Nope, nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
No.
How many stages?
40 stages, and well, technically 4 boss stages as well, so 44 in total. But yeah, each one takes about 10 to 20 seconds maximum.
Cool. Yeah. I think I did the first boss on the reveal. Like, for someone never playing the game before, getting to the first boss and killing it should show you.
Yeah, most bosses are easy to figure out, really standard patterns that are easy to figure out. The final boss is a little bit different. He has like multiple forms and stuff like that. He's a little bit harder to dodge, but if you have like 8 lives or 6 or 8 lives going into that guy, it should be easy pickings, because especially his last form, there's a way you can stand where he does not hit you at all, so...
Nice. I like those a lot.
Yeah.
Next game we have is Gargoyles Quest 2. Goal Beat Sand Frog.
Yeah, we don't have to talk a lot about this game either, because again, we did a complete episode about it. The only thing I can say is we picked the English translated version, which is not official, of course, but for people who are doing it blind, at least the game gives you some hints on where to go, even if it's not that hard to figure out in this one. Sandfrog is the 3rd boss of this game. You have like the first boss before you head out into the overworld. Then you have the forest stage boss, and then you have the desert boss. So easy to get to. There's not much moving around to get there. Some people who might play it blind might go to the extra stage that's in the Game Boy version, and they can pick up the homing shot, but that's completely unnecessary for the speedrun at all.
Yeah, from what I can tell, there is no difference between the English and Japanese version at all. The English translation ROM, so like in terms of speed-wise, like no one's at a better advantage than another person, depending on the one that they would ever choose. But for the sake of like the speedrunning leaderboards, you would submit the Japanese one, since that is an official game. Unless they made a category for the English one.
Not sure, but I'm just gonna guess that the Japanese text boxes might move a little bit faster. So
yeah.
But yeah, this is just to help those blind players out as well. It's for a marathon setting, it really doesn't matter that much. So
yeah, if you want to know more about the game, go listen to episode 3. Mo and I talked for about an hour and a half or 2 hours about the game. So next we got is Out of Gas Goal Beat World 3. I like this game. I when we revealed it, I didn't think I played it, and then after I played the first stage, I remembered that I played the game. I like this game. It's a fairly unique game.
Yeah, it's it's definitely one of its kind, especially on Game Boy. Almost nobody has heard about this game, but the people who have heard about it really love this game. It's pretty long, actually. It has like, each world has 8 stages, and there's 8 worlds in total. It does have passwords in between each world, so you can pick it up where you left off, no problem. It's also a very expensive game if you want to find it. I think it might have only come out in Europe as well, so that makes it even more expensive. But yeah, it's kind of a puzzle game, also kind of an action game, where you just have a top-down view. You're on a little space jet ski, sort of say, and you have to collect all the gas tanks in a stage to move on to the next stage. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, if you want to know the quote-unquote lore of the game, you ran out of gas. That, man, who would have thought that? And you're in a little, like, spaceshipy thing, and you just have to shoot these little circles. And, like, once you've got past, like, level 3 in World 1, they start putting numbers up and whatnot, and you have to hit the numbers in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hit, like, the other targets and whatnot. All along the way, avoiding things, because you'll have, like, lasers and spikes and stuff, and if they hit you, you lose time off of what's happening, or you lose time in your stage. And I think once the timer hits 0, or you run out of gas, and you die, so...
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There are like hidden extra lives during the stages, hidden clocks that you can pick up to extend your timer before you run out. But yeah, it's a pretty simple game. It's easy to understand. The controls are kind of slippery, but it's on purpose because you're technically in space. So like if you give gas in space on like a jet ski, it would not stop immediately. So you have to keep that in mind, of course. But yeah, the plot's really simple. You're out of gas on your actual spaceship. You're going down to the planet to pick up more gas on like a little scooter thingy while your girlfriend is waiting in the actual spaceship. For the speedrun, of course, you will skip the cutscenes, but if you're playing it casually, definitely check those out because
the cutscenes are so
they're
good.
really something. They're really good.
They're well, like, in terms of graphics, like, they're actually done super well for the Game Boy. Like, I've seen my fair share of just really bad cutscenes. Like, I've played Moelle On, so, yeah, like, these graphics are pretty top tier. It's very humorous, so definitely recommend checking out the cutscenes if you ever get a chance.
For sure.
The next and last game we have is all of your guys' favorite green toads. We have Battletoads. Goal, beat stage 5, no out of bounds.
Yeah, definitely the hardest game on the list. But it had to be done. We had to put Battletoads on the Tiny 10 list finally. There's 3 Battletoads games on Game Boy. You have Battletoads in Ragnarok's World, which is a port of the NES version. You have Battletoads and Double Dragon, which is a port, of course, of, well, Battletoads and Double Dragon from NES and SNES. And then you have this one, which is a complete original game for Game Boy. It has its own stages. It has its own like little quirks and stuff like that. And yeah, I had to put it on there because Battletoads is a very loved series throughout all platforms. Beat Stage 5 is basically played through half of the game. Stage 5 itself is quite a doozy. It's not easy if you do not know what you're doing. But the stages after that get actually a lot harder than anything that came before it. So Stage 5 is a really, really good stopping point, not only for the game, but also for the marathon, because beating that stage is quite an achievement to do that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's no turbo tunnel in this version of the game. However, there is a shoot 'em up type stage where you have to dodge obstacles and kill things. It's pretty equivalent to turbo tunnel.
Yeah, it's a lot easier though, but yeah, it's definitely one of. Yeah, it kind of has a little bit of everything. Like, the first stage is just your normal platformer. Second stage is indeed a kind of shmup, where you have to dodge certain things and just shoot enemies. Third stage, Wait, which is... Oh, it's the Hell stage, right? That's the one you
Yep.
got to. Yeah, it's a tight platforming stage, basically. The fourth one is the Swamp stage, which also introduces quite tight platforming at the start and then goes into a jet ski part. And then the fifth stage is, for anybody who has played the NES game, you have that stage where you're on a roller and you're trying to get away from some orb chasing you. And this is kind of similar. You're in a cave maze while a boulder is following you, and you have to stay ahead of it. So you have to know your route through that part, or otherwise you're going to get crushed.
Yeah, I got to the swamp in our reveal, and I kept kicking myself off of platforms. So,
Yeah, we all know how good platforming is in Battletoads games. So.
yeah. No
Which is
different
done
than the
on
Game Boy.
purpose, by the way. But
Yeah. I mean, there is a new Battletoads coming out, apparently, from Rare, so...
yeah, it's
We'll see.
gonna be hell.
Yeah, I probably won't play it. For those that don't know, I'm not a big fan of Battletoads, so...
Yeah, I am, but I can't beat any of the games. The only one I've beaten is this one, actually. So
I've beaten the one for NES. It's hard. I've done it, but I don't want to do it again. Type deal.
Yeah.
Like I have to do it. I have to do it for Game Boy, and I'm just like I'm not looking forward to play any of these Battletoad games. Like
Yeah,
when I play
they're-
Battletoads and Double Dragons, I'm gonna pick a Double Dragon probably. So
not that that matters at all, but
no, I don't want to be a Battletoad.
yeah, this is definitely the easiest one out of all three of them. So yeah, good luck.
So yeah, when we come back, we're going to discuss some community events relating to Game Boy and viewer questions if we have any. Be right back. So, community events coming up that are Game Boy related. Only one that I can think of off the top of my head is Power Up with Pride. They're going to be opening up their game submission list for their winter edition of their marathon here. I think on October 15th, I believe. I follow them on Twitter, so that's how I know of that. But outside of that, I mean, AGDQ has 2 Game Boy games. I don't remember which ones they were anymore.
I do. Yeah, I'm very disappointed again at GDQ. Like they had a lot of Game Boy submissions. Not all of them were great or anything, definitely not. But yeah, they really do not want to pick up any Game Boy games. Even though it's so easy to make a block out of those, because all you need is a Super Game Boy 2 and their Super Nintendo and everything is set up, unless there's like people who can't play. We've known about that in the past, but it's usually really easy to set up. It can like be a block that only lasts 1 or 2 hours, and you can have like 10 games during that course.
Yeah.
Like it would just be nice to just see a little bit of representation for the Game Boy community. But they always deny everything. But the 2 games that got in, one is Mega Man 2.
Oh, yeah, by Andy. Yeah.
By Andy, indeed. So it's cool to see that one being in there, but again, it's not like the best game to represent Game Boy at all, because it's actually not that well programmed and stuff like that. But it is a really cool speedrun, so I'm glad that at least got in.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of hype recently too, which is probably another, probably helped it out a bit more to get in, because you had the tournament that John put together. You had Andy and Prissy, and all those other top Mega Man runners like diving into this game and just destroying it basically. So it definitely got a lot of love in 2018.
Yeah, thanks to John Carl's marathon, or not marathon, tournament he hosted.
Yeah.
So that really helped put that game on display a lot. Hopefully in the future we'll see more of those things, but yeah, I'm really, yeah. not gonna work as great, especially not the other Mega Man games, because those are too hard for people to get into them. Like I mentioned before, Mega Man 2 is just such an easy game to get into, and luckily it's also on Game Boy, so it's easy to organize an event around that, a tournament around that. Like I can't think of any other game on the on the top of my head that would really work that well in a tournament setting. Besides, of course, Link's Awakening, but the Link's Awakening and Pokemon are like, their entire communities are totally different from the actual Game Boy community, even though they are intertwined in one way or another. And you also have like Super Mario Land 2, which Oh Dear and Slashfinity and stuff like that always try to portray. So
yeah,
those
I tried
are
doing
things.
it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
I tried doing a Kirby's Dream Land tournament. Well, I didn't start the tournament. I took it over because the person that started the tournament. Yeah. So I took it over, and yeah, Kirby's Dream Land does not make for a good tournament at all. Like it's bad.
Yeah,
I might be a little salty because Bangra beat me with a sub 12 time, but I mean, it's just not a good tournament setting because you have to do almost like a best of 3 because it's such a short game, and it's just not good. That's
right, I do remember that tournament. I had a lot of fun with that tournament.
Did you?
No, I did not. Because for those of you who have been following me from the start, the first ever Game Boy speedrun I did was Kirby's Dream Land.
Mine too.
Back then, I did 10 runs. I think it was on the same day, and I got 3rd place. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but that was a big deal because I had an amazing time for doing almost no effort at all. I did not even practice the route or anything that I think who was controller head, I guess, was first back then. I did not even study that. I just started playing the game. I played it 10 times in a row, and I got that time. So that was a big deal. But the thing with Kirby is that the RNG for Kracko and King DDD...
The randomness is so bad.
It's really bad, so it depends a lot if you get a good time, if those two things work out for you. During that tournament, I was going against PLD, and me and him have about like the same time. Generally same time in Kirby. So it was a fair matchup. But for some reason, I always got into 2-minute long King DDD fights.
Yeah.
And I got so mad that I just I think I had to do losers bracket after that. I just stopped. I was too mad.
I made it to, I want to say the semi or quarterfinals, and I had to go against Bangra. And Bangra had a match where I ran an 11:53, I think it was, and he had an 11:51. Okay. And then the next race, he had like an 11:56. I had like a 12:50 something because of 2 bad Kracko fights. Him and I were neck. I went back and watched the VOD, and him and I were neck and neck up until that Kracko fight. And I'm like, well, all right, cool.
yeah, I was so pissed off. Not because I lost to PLD, but just the way how I lost 3 times in a row, basically. Because it was best out of 5 even, I think.
Towards the end of the tournament, the rules were best out of 5, which was stupid to begin with. So, it was, it's not a good tournament game.
Nope, definitely not.
Oh my god, yeah, no. And then I did, the other tournament that I helped admin was the Nightmare in Dreamland tournament, and that was another disaster case, so it ended eventually, thank God. But yeah.
Oh, is that also the one me and PLD did?
PLD couldn't because he broke his monitor.
Yeah,
remember?
During the actual
the race. Yeah, the actual
man.
Get Yourself speedrunning race. Yeah, that was a good time too.
So there's a curse on Kirby or something.
There really is. It's probably why I don't. Well, it can't be a curse. I've gotten it in two SGDQs already.
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely one that gets picked up as well.
It gets picked a lot. It's kind of insane.
But the other game that actually is in AGDQ, it's Dragon Slayer for Game Boy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not
amazing.
joking. It's Dragon Slayer for Game Boy, which is one of the worst games on Game Boy. The speedrun is not even fun. Like the who is it that's running it again doesn't even like it. But it got in for some reason.
I watched it play during not Kusa Grande, during a Big Bad Game-a-thon.
Yeah, that was really funny.
It looked so good.
Yeah, see, that was funny, but like, yeah, that got in at AGDQ to represent Game Boy, and I'm like, yeah, there goes our reputation once again.
We'll never have a GDQ like we did at SGDQ 2016. We'll never have that again, I don't think. Nope. Where you had Nacho running Trip World, you had me, True Shade, and Proto doing Kirby's Dream Land. You had Proto doing Ninja Gaiden Shadows, Super Mario Land 1, Bubble Ghost. Like, we had a very good... Infinite Mystery did some, like, Dragon game on Game Boy. Like, it was a very good morning for Game Boy. It was a Friday morning, and it was, like, nonstop Game Boy until, like, 1 or 2 p.m. Like, it was phenomenal. And then, like, after that, we get, like, 1 or 2 games. And, like SGQ this past year. Was it this past year I ran Kirby's Dream Land? I think so. Yeah. It all runs together for me now. So, like, we had like, that Pokemon Yellow. Was it Red and Yellow on one controller or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me, or whatever it was. Which the concept was cool. I watched a bit of the run. It was neat, but it looked like it was just really reliant on glitches. And then you had my run of Extra Mode. And then after that, like, there's just nothing for Game Boy. Like, handheld in general just isn't represented a lot at GDQ. No. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's really sad. Also because, like, when they have to do what I call filler blocks, when they just place an RPG in there that lasts 8 hours... That's plenty of time to put in Game Boy games for once. Like, it's just weird how they do it. Like, fine, RPGs are cool. They're good on the, like, lesser watched hours, maybe. But those lesser watched hours are also European times. So every time I'm looking at when I can actually watch AGDQ, I have 8 hours to watch a stupid RPG every time.
Final Fantasy VII.
So, and I like RPGs, but like, yeah, it's kind of sad.
I mean, like, the setup isn't even all that tedious. Like, you literally just take a Super Nintendo or a GameCube. They both use the exact same connector.
Yep.
Set one up there, and then have the runner bring up their controller, choose what console they want to use, plug in the connector, and you're good to go. Like, that's literally all you would need to do to have a block ready to rock and roll. But like I said, we probably won't see another representation of Game Boy like we did in SGDQ 2016 for a long time, which is really unfortunate. Which is one of the bigger reasons why Slash set up Handheld Heroes, honestly, just because of that. So
definitely to. Sadly, it can only be held once a year at this time, at least. But it's really cool.
It's actually a lot of work for it just being like a weekend marathon. It's a crap ton of work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I see it with Tiny 10. Like, I'm already surprised I can do it twice a year. So
yeah, I couldn't imagine you doing it by yourself like you were doing with Tiny 10 1 and 2. There's just so much work to be had.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so dive into questions now since community events are done, since there's not much happening. Oh, we have Tiny 10. Community event Tiny 10, November 10th, 1 p.m. Eastern on Speed Gaming 1 channel. I got that all confirmed with Feasel a week or so ago. So...
that's always a good time. There's always a lot of people watching. We just to dive a little bit back into the history, like when we first started, we had like 50 viewers, but it always doubled from that time forward. So last time we had like 500 viewers or something, which is really cool. So that wasn't even on the main channel. So
yeah, back in the day, you used to restream this on ESA's channel.
Yeah, the first two
Speed Gaming didn't exist yet. Yeah, because Speed Gaming didn't exist until I think like Tiny 10 4. So
yeah, I think so.
So then when Tiny 10 3 or 4, whatever it was, became a thing, is when we started reaching out to Feasel, saying like, hey, like, can we get this up on your thing? But yeah, no, this used to be on ESA just because we had connections that way. So going into questions, Mo, there's a question for you in Discord. What's it like having to disappoint everyone by rejecting their terrible game ideas?
Yeah, so a little bit more information, I guess, how these lists get made. I do not really just do it myself. I ask for a lot of input by the actual Game Boy community or any Game Boy speedrunner or streamer or stuff like that, just to get ideas for games. But yeah, there are a few that get asked for jokingly every edition, and I'm never gonna put them in because I've already denied them plenty of times. But yeah, it does drive me crazy from time to time hearing that question over and over again. Like, when is Shaq Fu? When is Moelle On?
You think I joke about Shaq Fu?
Well, you maybe do not, but all the rest of the people do. But yeah, there's some of those games that get asked for each and every time, even though they're never gonna be in. The newer one is V Rally for Game Boy. I don't know. Yeah, thanks, Bagheera. Jesus. Not that it's a bad game or anything, but it's probably a little bit too long to put the full game in there. And there are better sports games than that, so... Yeah, it's... I don't think I'm actually disappointing anyone, but...
Every once in a while, you get a good idea, like Sumo Fighter. I was like, hey, you should put Sumo Fighter in, but it just needs a better route, you know.
Yeah, that one has not been routed completely yet. Like,
no.
Suggestion for this one was Little Indian in the Village, but again, it wasn't routed well enough at that point. Now it is.
Right.
It's like a 12-minute speedrun, so it will be in the next one, but like at that point it wasn't routed well enough yet to put it in already. But yeah, there's definitely games that always come by suggestions by other people. Like, for instance, Brain Drain. I had never heard about that game, but Juke Ariel, I think that's how you pronounce it, actually put that one on my radar, so I checked it out and I was like, yeah, this is actually a good puzzle game. And he picked one out of the last Tiny 10 as well. I don't remember which one. I'm gonna look really, really fast if I can see it. Oh, it was Pingu. A game that I knew, but I had totally forgotten about. But yeah, it's stuff like that. It's always fun for people to actually suggest a really, really good game that I haven't thought of. So yeah.
Yeah. The other fun part is it's like people will recommend a game that's Super Game Boy enhanced, and for those that are playing on console, specifically the Super Game Boy 2, like it takes extra load time to load in that stupid border around the game and whatnot. So when Mo takes on the list and organizes the list in such a way, he makes sure that the Super Game Boy enhanced games are first, or at least top of the list, so there's no really unfair advantage going into like the final game and they're mere seconds apart, but one is running on Game Boy player with the GBI interface, you know, and then you have someone on Super Game Boy 2, obviously the one with the GBI is going to take the lead simply because it doesn't have to load in all that extra stuff. So Mo usually tries to put the Super Game Boy enhanced games at the top of the list for that.
Yeah, weirdly enough, we have two of them this time around. Donkey Kong Land and Brain Drain. Usually we only have one or none. So I just put those two at the start of the game, because puzzle games I usually plays on the 5th or 6th place in the list, because usually that's the break game, as we like to call it. But yeah, now I just put them at the start, because then all those Super Game Boy enhanced things are gone.
Yeah, I remember Tiny 10 5 when I suggested Shinchan 4. You were like, I want to put it here, but we can't because the Super. I'm like, just make it first. You know? So, But yeah, if you guys want to know what kind of questions he has to say no to, like when he asks that, I dumped in 3 questions immediately. When is Shaq Fu? When is Alien 3? And when is Moelle On? So those are the types of things that he has to put up with, at least with me and like many other people in the Tiny Tin channel of the Game Boy Discord.
Constantly. Like Fist of the North Star is another one that comes up a lot.
Does it really?
Yeah, that's also Bangera.
What a bad game.
Yeah, there's always those games that, who knows, maybe one day we have to put them in there. Just because we don't have any games anymore.
Hercules Game Boy.
I kind of enjoyed that one, but that's not a good game to speedrun.
Oh, man. I broke that game so bad in my casual playthrough.
But yeah, we have plenty already for next time, so I have plenty to choose from. Some of them, I don't know, like, that still need a little bit of routing, like Magical Taruru Cocoon. That's one that definitely... Yeah, Magical Taruru. It's an amazing game, but we don't understand the game because it's in Japanese, and there's like one mechanic that doesn't make sense to any of us. And stuff like Incredible Crash Dummies maybe as a Joe game in there, one loop, because that's...
I routed that game.
Yeah, so stuff like that. We have one that I want to say for next time, besides Little Indian in the City. Something that nobody's probably going to expect, but it's The Punisher Ultimate Payback, which is a rail shooter.
Oh, wow.
But it's like a super short game. It's like 10 minutes maybe. But if you die, you do have to restart the whole game. But that's a really cool one to put in there. So
there's a tough game.
Yeah, there's a little one for next time already. You can start practicing from now on out.
Practice Punisher, you'll need it.
Yeah, it's really just knowing where the extra lives are and the health upgrades are. That's all.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yep. But that's all the questions that we had, at least in Discord. One serious one, and then we had the ones that I usually ask. So, so expect Shaq Fu in one of the Tiny Tins in the future. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so I mean, I guess we can start wrapping up. That's really about it for this episode, unless you have any more to say of the Portable Marathon.
Nope, that is definitely it. Again, if you want to check out at least a quick preview of the games, check that link to the YouTube video of the reveal stream, which I don't think I've actually uploaded to YouTube yet, so I should probably do that before it's gone forever.
Yeah, it's on Twitch. I have the recording still, so
there we go.
I made a backup of stuff, so. But yeah, any thoughts, suggestions by you guys? Either please comment on SoundCloud or wherever you're listening to the podcast. Join our Discord. There should be a Discord link somewhere on the bottom, somewhere in the info section. Like, join our Discord. Let us know what's up. Tell us what we're doing good, what we're doing bad. Help us out a little bit to make this podcast better, more listenable for you guys. What else is there? We have the Twitch. We have the Monochrome City Twitch channel. Mo and I did a live stream of Nubo episode, which took some learning to understand how to make the live episode work. But I think after some experience, we can make those things work a lot better. Like I said, the hardest thing right now for Mo and I is just the time zone, trying to find times where we can catch each other to record, because we both are, oddly enough, busy people. So, but with the coming winter time, hopefully that slows down a bit. So, but yeah, you can find me. I'm eBloodyCandy on Twitch.tv, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Even I rarely post to it. You can find me on Discord as well. Mo, where can they find you?
Yeah, like I always say, you can find me definitely on YouTube and on Twitch. That's pretty much all I use, and Twitter. But because nobody can actually write my name or pronounce my name, it's best you just actually go to our website, which is gbrunners.com/. TIGB, where you can just like click the button with the logo for any kind of social media thing you actually want, and you can just find me through there. That's a lot easier. And I checked, because last time I asked myself the question, do we even have a Discord link on our website? And we do. So that's how
We
you
totally
can
do.
access that as well.
Yeah, I made sure to put that into the coding bits.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't sure back then. When it comes to Patreon, because I have been talking a lot about that in the past few episodes, it's still not set up because I cannot figure out how to set it up properly because of the whole European American business thing. It's really confusing for me. I cannot set it up. We will definitely try to do that in the future, but for now we still don't have it. So next time, there's actually not going to be a full episode like always, but a light episode by me, which is going to be our Halloween special. So be sure to check that out in 2 weeks after this episode. But when we get back in like a month, there will be a new episode about a game that a lot of people might only know by Froggy Game. It's actually a Japanese only released game called Kairi no Tame ni Kane wa Naru, which roughly translates into For the Frogs the Bell Tolls.
Until then, see you guys later.
Later, man.
When is Pokemon?
No, no, no.